Hey everyone.
Hey.
I have to ask, can you hear the air conditioning in my house if I stay unmuted?
No.
Okay, awesome. I just wanted to make sure so I didn't um, have that sound coming in if it was there. Cool.
Yeah, I think I hear more the airplanes in my neighborhood than your air conditioning, so that's fine.
We'll give it another minute for Mark and then we'll get started. Sure. My daughter wants to say hi. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hello.
So Jules, can you wave? Can you go hi? All right, I'll give you your keyboard and you can work next to me. All right, welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I know it's late for Jinshin and Albert, so let's get right into social discussion. Favorite family tradition or just tradition in general? I was thinking. Thing that brought this to mind is we moved. My family has a big 4th of July celebration where we get together and hold like a family Olympic, and we do a lot of like yard games and things like that, and it's just a fun time. We've done it for 16 years now, so it's been like we've done that same sort of let's all get together. It's people from Colorado, Iowa, Missouri, all come together usually in Kansas City, which is kind of the center location, and doing things like bocce ball, or we do a bunch of card games. We've done like ladder ball, where you like throw the golf balls and try and catch it on the ladder rungs. Just different U.S. yard games, and there's points, and then we have a winner. It's like a big competitive thing, but it's fun to be around everyone. Remy, over to you.
That's cool. How many people gather every year?
Probably 18, I would say. More with kids now. So like there's probably I think like 15 people who do all the games, and now there's probably about like 22 or so humans there.
Yeah.
Which so much are a little too young.
Cool. Yeah, for me, the tradition is probably like the one that I like the most, at least, is actually like we usually gather around the end of May. So basically like 2 weeks ago that would have been, but this year I didn't plan to go anyway, but we canceled it due to the COVID. But basically we gather in Brittany, so west of France, just like in a small village that is really at the like close to the ocean, and once every 2 years there is this boats gathering from all around the world, mostly like sailing boats basically, and there are like thousands of boats, and there are like parades depending on which day. There are different boats parading, and yeah, basically we gather, we laugh a lot, we walk, that's my mother part of the family, and they are really really friendly and really funny. It's not the same on my father's part, I would say. But that's one of the best time of the year. So next year we'll go for sure, because that will be this year where there will be the boats. And also, in addition to the boats, there are like parties, dancing, music, and stuff like that. So that's cool. I think last year I've shared some pictures and videos about it actually. So maybe next year as well.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, we don't really have any
kind of traditions outside of the standard, you know, Christmas and birthdays. We usually like to see each other around birthdays, and then Christmas we'll usually gather and play a lot of board games and stuff, but nothing outside of that. Yeah, so I don't really have one to share there. So Albert, what about you?
I think for me, so I live quite far from my parents, so I've been living away for many years, so I haven't really got any tradition per se. I think the closest one would be Lunar New Year that we. So usually every Lunar New Year, all the relatives would come together for dinner, and then we will go visit each other's house. Like, so on the first day of Lunar New Year, what happens is everyone will visit every family's house. So that was quite fun. It's not fun when it's in my hometown where the traffic jam is really bad. So we spent like 8 hours just to travel to maybe 4 or 5 places. Yeah, but so now that I'm married, what we do is a bit different. So instead of doing that every year for me, I will alternate between my family and my wife's family. Yeah. How about you, Genshin?
We don't really have anything special either. So probably just dinner around Lunar New Year and dinner or lunch when someone has birthday. And that's probably it.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for sharing. I am going to ask for announcements if whoever added it can just do it, just so we don't get a lot of noise throughout the meeting. So Jinshin, why don't you take the first one and just keep going down the list?
Oh, I will be off this Friday and next Monday because I'm feeling a bit tired, so I want to take some time off.
Yeah, so the past week, the review apps has been quite low, mainly because of 2 issues. The first one was a migration change that needed B3 extension. I think that has been reverted. And then the other one was yesterday, Gitly version change for a period of time that used SHA, and that caused the deployment failure. It has been changed back to user semantic version, so now it should be okay. But the impact is quite bad. Next, Remy.
Cool. Yeah, so announcements, just, yeah, we've increased the parization for the static analysis jobs. So basically, we can now increase the parization like indefinitely for these jobs, but that wouldn't make much sense. But yeah, the idea is that will allow people to have feedback quicker for these jobs, and further improvements could be to like separate the front end and back end kind of checks, and also actually parallelize the checks in the jobs themselves. But yeah, for now we've gone the easiest route.
And then for me, I noted this morning that the review completion deadline for 360 reviews was pushed back a week. So if you're kind of struggling to get through all of those and focus on teamwork, there's one more week to kind of keep that in mind. It looked like the MR that adjusted the schedule hasn't been merged yet, so I linked to that in the announcements as well, just as a heads up. If you go to the 360 page, it's not reflected, but there was that in the announcement in what's happening at GitLab. Over to you, Albert.
Yeah, so we added a job to test the changes on FOSS, so that runs as few tests as possible based on the number of files that changed. There are a couple of small bugs that came with it. I'm making some MRs to fix those. Okay.
That was awesome. I'll just add that. I just want to vocalize that was really great work. If you need help cleaning anything up that's urgent, since it's late, feel free to just delegate, and we can try to do our best during the day. Okay.
Thanks.
The next thing is more of a random thing that I found out. So last Thursday, when Danger was having problems, I logged in as GitLab bot just to see if that token was still valid, since we were getting kind of a strange error. It was, but I also found out that any login with GitLab bot is alerted to security, and they will reach out to you. So just as a heads up. Probably not a good idea to use that in these cases and just ask for help. Like I learned I should just ask someone else for help, but just as a heads up, they'll all get logged, and then you will get reached out to by someone in security to see what was going on.
Interesting.
Maybe over. Yeah, I was not aware that happened.
Yeah, I'm curious how are they informed about the login?
What I heard was there was an alert. I said, I didn't know it was monitored, so it's nice to know that that was the case. And they said there was an alert,
Okay.
and they were following up. And it wasn't like a don't do this. It was a did you do this? Because if not, there is a much bigger problem. But I think we should just reduce, like stop logging in as GitLab bot to GitLab.com.
Yeah, sure. That's very, like, we only need to do that usually when we want to generate a new token, and that's probably it. So yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks for the heads up. My announcement is that we just merged this morning, I hope, massive improvements to how we are using the cache in our pipelines, and I also hope that it will improve the many jobs duration. So yeah, we should look out for any related issues that could come up. So far, yeah, I'm just speaking, and there was a master broken.
Oh,
it's shown that is. Yeah, no, it's good. It's about force impact. Yeah, so yeah, just be aware that there might be caching related issues.
Awesome work on that as well. I saw the master broken message as well and was like, what? This would be really good timing. So cool, let's move into the agenda. Albert, you want to take the first item here for discussion?
Yeah. So yeah, while I was doing that MR, I was trying to keep in mind the different forks and other projects that we need to cater for in the pipeline changes. So I try to list down as many as I can think of. I'm not sure if there's anything else. What else do we need to keep in mind? And also, is there like I'm wondering if there's any standard things that we go through to make sure that things are working for downstream forks, and to what extent do we want to take care of the forks? How about forks that we don't know about? Because I think it's quite easy to cause something to break in one of the fork if we miss out particular clause in the rules where we. So for example, for example, for a force test, we set to never if it is not EE. But it's very easy to miss such a clause in one of the rules, and then that could cause a job to never be able to pass in a particular in a pipeline that we don't know. So I'm just wondering, like, how do we cater for this?
Yeah, that happened in the past. There's this issue that I don't recall if I think I created it. I like to be able to kind of test in advance all these use cases. But yes, we haven't, I think it hasn't been the priority yet, and it's also probably a bit complex. So there's a trade-off between like the time to implement such testing and just the time to fix the small edge cases that we we face. But yeah, that's a recurring question, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can continue this. in the
yeah.
issue.
Well, I think our default has been try to fix forward. So do the best of like almost like best effort during testing, and then focus on fixing forward. But I'm willing to prioritize this because the more we use rules, the more we're using these different things to optimize optimize the pipeline, I should say, the more we need this. So I linked to I was trying to find it as you were talking. I linked to the issue. And if there's a way that we can leverage iteration here, because I think there's a really large problem, but if we can tackle it in a smaller way, iteratively, I would be all for prioritizing that.
Yeah.
I think there was a suggestion on the issue for what we could start in.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm curious, are we still using dev?
Are we still using what?
Dev.
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 Yeah, I don't think we use it for security anymore. But yeah, I think it's still used. I don't know actually. Yeah, no. I think we are building the nightly images, but for Omnibus. But for GitLab, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Omnibus security development moved off, and I think that was the last piece. I can check with the delivery team or ask NG Delivery to see if they're using dev.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I will ask that. Should we just continue this discussion in the issue?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thanks for bringing that up, Albert. That's a big concern area of mine is we have this complex configuration. Oh, it's manual and tedious to validate right now and error prone. So cool. I just wanted to bring this up here as well. So I asked for feedback last week on the backstage deprecation issue before we kind of communicate a little bit broader. I tried to succinctly break out the pieces in the proposal into different issues that can be tackled independently. Any last chance for feedback? Any feedback that anyone would like to vocalize? Or if you need more time too, because you haven't reviewed it, let me know. That is fine as well. Okay. Okay. Is there any reason that we should not communicate this week? Like that's I kind of want a forcing function for that.
No, I think it's a good plan. Yeah, I think there's we are covering already a lot. Like a lot of places like Handbook, serverless, triage ops. So I don't think we need to wait more and think of more things right now before communicating, at least. I mean, we can always communicate and add details later anyway.
Okay. As I kind of said in one of my comments, I will need some help. I'm anticipating feedback. I will do my best to be as responsive as I can, but with kind of the additional wrinkle with my kids being home more than I had planned even this week, it'll be a little challenging. I'll target communication out like Wednesday, Thursday for this.
I do have a question actually. What if people have concerns or feedback that could get in the way of the plan as we see it? Is it like communication like, okay, we will do that, or will it be open communication like, what do you think about that, or maybe both?
So my plan on the communication was going to be, this is the change that we're planning to do. I'm anticipating some of the feedback of, have you considered this, or did you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's my focus would be on continuing the plan unless we have a good reason not to. And we don't know of one right now, but that may change. We'll just kind of see how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense. Great.
Um, okay, last item here is around due dates and milestones. So I kind of have this sense, and I've had some feedback that this may be a little confusing on how I'm using due dates and milestones. So my general intent is to try to demonstrate the value of setting a due date. So the milestone should be indicating targeted release, and due date I usually use for a follow-up. So almost like a reminder of, let's follow up on this date. How does everyone feel that that's going? Where is it working? Where is it not working?
I don't use due dates, to be honest. Are we talking about the due dates feature in issues?
Yeah. So I've been a little bit more active in setting due dates when there's like a question and it's not an urgent question to try and trigger a follow-up, or setting milestones for lower priority work that I think we can kind of achieve alongside our work for milestones. Some of the feedback that someone provided was that the way that I communicate milestones can sometimes be a little unclear, especially if there's other teams in there, where it's just like, I'm going to set this to 13.1, for example, instead of, do you think that this is achievable in 13.1? So that's going to be something that I'd look to change. But I am curious if anyone has noticed anything and had any general feedback on this.
So the due dates will be used in a case where something's blocked and it just needs a follow-up. Is that what you meant?
That's how I have been using them.
Okay.
The security packaging QAMR, I think, is a really good example where I said, I'll set a due date of 2 weeks to follow up on this. We're going to target 13.1 for release, which they don't really align. That doesn't align.
So even if something's closed, so if we say we're tracking a metric, or we plan to look into something later to see if something's improved, is that going to be on a closed issue or a due date on a new issue?
It could. I haven't done that yet. I think that would be confusing. I don't know if there's just like a general way to remind, like I have another tool that I use to remind me of this on this date. I don't know if there's a GitLab feature for that could generate it to do. I'm sure there's an issue out there for it.
I see. Okay.
I think go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say you are using due dates just for the reminder feature in your case, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, personally, I just assign the issues to myself and they're on my radar, and I regularly go back to the issues that I'm assigned to or merge request. So I don't use due dates. So I use basically the fact that I'm assigned to an issue and the milestone, basically, which aligns with the due date, basically.
Okay.
I think I'm just wondering, like, how hard is a milestone when it's set? I think I just want to make sure that we don't get into a situation where we set a certain milestone and then knowing that we may or may not hit the milestone, and like when that is already set, then other stakeholders might see that as a commitment, and that expectation may not be the same within the team and outside the team. So I think I just want to be to make sure that we are, like, both our team as well as other teams are clear on how do we set milestones and due dates.
Yep. So that's where I'm going to plan to have a handbook MR, which describes that a little bit more. I would say in general, all of GitLab tries to be aggressive in what they target for each release. So there is slippage. It's not, and that's why I try to use the word target. as often as I can because our workload is so reactive, and I would say more reactive than others. So having planned issues ahead of time that are addition to our OKRs and has been a little challenging, especially the last few quarters. So I'll look to describe that a little bit better in the handbook and try to be clearer when I say we're setting this for 13.1. And so that at least on the issue, it's clear that we're targeting this for 13.1. It may not make it due to these factors. I'll look to be a little bit more comprehensive when applying milestones. Because I definitely see that same concern where someone could be counting on this being delivered on a milestone and it totally slips, and communication slips as well.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time that features are assigned to a milestone and they slip to the next, and that's fine. It's expected because I think most teams tend to overcommit and there are always uncertainties. So I don't. That's not very critical. We should try to avoid having too many things slipping to the next milestone, but I think that's fine.
Okay. So I'll tag the team on the handbook at MAR where I add some of the detail to the engineering productivity pages, whether like we'll just do it on the top level page and look for feedback there so that it's a little bit clearer on milestones. And then I think I'm going to stop using due dates because I believe that's a piece that can be even more confusing externally, and the way that I'm using it is not representative of what the feature is. Like, it's not we're not saying it's due by here. It's more just a reminder for follow-up. So I'll just use an external system for a nudging mechanism. Cool. Okay. Thank you for the good feedback on that. And look for the handbook MR later this week.
Cool.
Anything else anyone would like to discuss? Okay. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day, and we will catch up async throughout the rest of the week. See you, everyone.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, y'all.